ala baraka bake atol men ka jif thanks TV jibe afele mutana bi fana aram mishalum kana programme di yalla di current reality show mi yalon ko dalta ka wolle di yalla aram miso aram sen kana nam ni mol ye kacha ko walla mi yalon ko walla be kerin programme to fo ya fa mo firinde wolen current reality ko mi yalon ko walla be kerin ka walla kacha bake o nyama dron akamonda bi fana fele mutana kana programme mo nyindi yalla mi yalon ko wolen current reality wo lo kun tambila ni mi yalon ko programme o dindani wala tema wala honorable made sise mi yalan ko atla sere ko nda wasla député woti ni wala moti mi yalan ko kacata kabri nga commencé mo jamal bi mi yalan ko kaca dun tan ni wala tema bar bi mi yalan ko ngawala soro programme o nyinto ron wala honorable Demba ali Jawo mi yalan ko veteran journalist la mole mati mi yalan ko akamunta journalist bale mati banko nyingam bar fana akara ministre de mi yalan ko yibero ke franyomo la karola ne kibari janjango memo ministry bundare mi yalan ko wala jibero ke information communication and infrastructure abenu wolto kabrin president Adama Barrow na raman sakunda kono fo jande wato mi yalan ko iba fo nyande la binga wala soro na programme de current reality show adam mi yalan ko fanjamal bijem be wala kacala membe dende man sakunda la tamandiri bulo la kabri wato mi yalan ko atabenu man sakunda kono fo kabrin aborti hanebi atendin ka safero ke kola mi yalan ko wala be kere wanyama stay tuned fo jande montro wati kele be kacala ku jamal la mi yalan ko wala be kala banku moli na fati wanyama ay baraka bake ay opportunity din na nyamen ko take pour ngana nasi kan kacha ko wala mi yalan ko wala be kere o nyama honorable Demba ali Jawo a baraka bake ngesro na programme to nyamen on Give Thanks TV
abarka bake Ibrahima
very well many yalan ko wala ka programme o jibe rom kal wakeli ndika fali ale subscribe to our YouTube channel on Give Thanks TV ngajal be subscribe kam bake bari alsik wakal wakeli ni rom ali wakal kalina programme on yin alkali like alkali share fanam bake wanyama rom ala baraka bake ko take ko wari ngana lunta mo yitan dalla la honorable Demba ali Jawo mi yalan ko fanna kacha be dunna na teletema honorable itamo molti mi yalan ko fan akamonta evenu man sakunda kono fajani waro mi yalan ko be fonyande after kabiri yebondi man sakunda kono santan e kamaneka
abako saimbe mem faye dal ka consultancy ke from time to time dolka dokurin dol dinna pour ka ke like editing and things of that nature bari mem faye dal mantra dokola momo e sainte
okay akamunda kabiri benu man sakunda kono 2017 yekere wati sorta watu mi yalon ko fam akamunda fonyi kanela ifintita no protesta da mi yalon ko fam kabiri protesta ya yitane ko man sula economic kol men yalon ko wolle be fonyi nyanta ka bol jela fo modo bi haruna jara afota aniola o ko nyin kono sen sanji nani ñun mom molti mi yalon ke be man sakunda ko man kay ko tilimo elafta wala sotla ñin tembe wato mi yalon ko ñin incident be kala wala ko ñin be kala ay tra man sakunda kon yemune lo ñin ko ñin
Ibrahima aboko man fe jamalo ngin ko to te fanan nga moy la drong ñine keta protest le keta je kanila je inata ngamera economic soldier wala kido fay do nata faje nga lo wala nyama dara bari te fanan yalon wato kabiri be minister yala telemu kind of government spokesperson so kabiri nga moy fanan nga ami call ngeni nga men keta because nga lo ne ko fo mo le ñini ka na nga mellong ñu ko to wala ya explainer men keta so te fana nga wala fo mole dal ami men explainer nga wala fo mole amanke ko te fa amanke nyala mam pempen kala mutato itole men fo nyeto to fana nga wala fo mole
mu cabinet minister at the time man sakunda la commitment about that issue for what time wala data ni president kasi wala cabinet level falka ko kachanu njele wo membe man sakunda mo fere la solo wotembo
yalla wo security isolate no abako of course man sakunda e play di ko ibe investigate la de so nte fanan surprise hani saying fem mabo investigator no definitely bari ya lahido di la ko wato man sakunda e lahido di because security isolem aka discuss at security level abako cabinet mawo ngamen kala mutalal cabinet ma ko discuss o security issue le bari man sakunda ila hido ki di ko ba investigate la bari bet damen to tem malong investigation on that men nyanta fit men fit la je maoje awlonda
akamunta wati jamal bije man sakunda ka fole fen jamal bije men ka ke nakere ka fole ko ba ko nyin kiskis la lolo ba ko nyin investigate la bari in the later part nyaata do man ninke mo bokanalo mune findita akoni kon ife bane ka nyin cause wala mune ka sam
abako fenjamale maybe o kosa was keno fanan lack of commitment o fanansi tarano je dal sa foko beñing kisi la bari sa yatra commitment je dal ya foy dala dron bari yatra commitment je wo fanansa koso fo fendindo fanansa koso wala mo imang enough evidence soto pour ka investigate yalo ni be investigator yani be action tala foi evidence soto me yalon ko isi action tano wo finance isi sabuno bari fen jama dal si o sabuno bari lack of commitment fanam wo finance tarano je dal.
How was it like being a spokesperson for the government of the Gambia? President Barrow mansa kunda kono waro mi yalon ko kamunda scandal boka fama nimbora kudo kono sibula kudo kono. How was it like for you?
It was very, very, very difficult. I mean, for Ambuato definitely yalong as spokesman inyanta itadile membe caring masakunda to bari fenjama bije defanan kamo moy lala drum mol kamo nyame fanan kamo wala nyama. So as spokesperson ka fere ke dal pour nga fere ke nga diamu menu involved bari ka fengo ka soto ka kibaro soto masakunda to definitely amandiano wato ka kenu spokesman to wato malon fosa na change bari definitely amandiano because fenjama ka kenu masakunda ibuka kalamutan nintela so tileke fereke nga try dal pour nga fen soto nga fen kalamutan bari ibuka kalamutan dalano.
But democracy kono access to information ka pour ka silo soro kibaro soro amo fenne de miyalon ko akumata bag pour wota mandre sifal yetara kerum o nyama walantum ay tara kerim pour ka jaga ko man sakunda pour ka komi ela ko akolate bu nyandi.
Well akolate in the sense ne ni atra fengol be kela man sakunda be fenkela ite meme yalon ko imu minister le adu ite le nyanta kela spokesperson ibuka itandila ibuka kalamutan dala ite fanan ka moy lala to mol ka moy nyame e wala akolandi yalon ya mo jama ni atra fenketa mansakunda e ka follow men na wala mu itati men spokesperson e pour ya explainer bari ni te man fen kala muta woto do aka wala ko ya nati fo e fere ke ite fana si fere ke sa try ka kibari ni soto mol bulu me alon ko wala involved bari sometimes ka o fana soto woka ke problem balati wala na akola tam bulu num bake
ya fole no ikola interview do bije in BBC dami yalon ko Gambian Jamal bije kabir man sakunda na bayri mo Jamal bije ye man sakunda ni ya overrate le wala ye sembo wara dinum bake akamunda interview ni do mo Jamal benen jibe jikiri ko kabir BBC ye ni ka foy ko Gambia la man sakunda 6 months kabir wala 3 months kabir ngal na man sakunda ko Allah achievement mo munet mo Jamal bije ko kabiri dia mutanum BBC hani president fo man kontan ko nyimu sorota.
Well, así que no asotale, barete, I mean, tenga men miranung, tenga wale for BBC. So, I mean, mo ya mira na men fala wom, yalong, mo ya la je nyale. So, tenga je nyame wale mo, nga fo wale nyama o BBC.
During your time, Kabake Minister of Information, ngaje GRTS mo Jamal bije interest TV ni na memo national TV di pour ka jibe bari programme Jamal bije mi yalan ko ya initiate ka jiko TV ni ala autonomy memo ala transfambulo ni aba soto kanne kabiri boraje ila time and currently the TV ala current state compared to kabiri te bije ibalande we rate la nyan
ngamera TV iba try kan definitely iba try kan I mean yalong Gambia kutole molko Gambia kutole adung demokrasi lebe kerim bangkong ka so hani saindal fen jamale tuta me yalong ko nyanta kela le because iko nyanta kela public service broadcaster do wala mo mor bele nyanta kanya na television auto amanke ko abenu nyame wato ya jamela wato yatra I mean amu atondi mouthpiece lady for the ruling party because saying things change tale bari hani saying dal fen jamale to ko me yalon ko nyanta change dan
useno dawo même UDP la nyaton ko just lokum fula comment ay TV nyi ay tumi la ko mi molle mi yalon ko e ka men kanu yaya jamela wato hanbi e ka wala ke nin jamme event so e ka wala ko ba ni opposition ya so e be ka ko ba ko the same thing e be wala ke kam president Barrow na event so e ka wala ko ba opposition ni asoro e be ka ko ba foi da fana e be jartas yi ka wala ni
ngaje ko positive changes keta je bari hani sa ngamen fo don fan jamale nyanta change la because yaje ko wati ya jam President Barrow ya la nyin weekend meeting also State House akamol kumandi kanaje State House ikajele ikatra wo be kovala aboko ya jamela wato fana wo de be keri adoni opposition la event also boko TV buka cover ba kedal wo wala nyanta change la dal because ni go public service broadcaster boko nyante bele kanyandi la mon bele nyanta ila access soto la television auto bari woman unfortunately woman tra caring bari changes ketaje positive changes ketaje bari atuta damale ta koma dal me alon ko nyanta kela
not holding water for the Minister of Information, current Minister of Information. I'm an executive member of the National People's Party and GRS battle under directly. Could this not lead to conflict of interest in education wala kay ibuitandiroke program wala miyalan ko wala betar findila wa television?
Well, yalong as a minister, Kaverina Wato minister, I had no control over the editorial policy member GRTS. You know, I expect the current minister a blow mantra member tamaka GRTS. Nga wale mira dal because wale nyanta kela. Yalong minister on political appointment. Inate decide purka also a member of the ruling party. That's fine with him. Although I would never have been a member of any political party, Manson Nunkatrano, any political party too, because Tenga Namfanje as a technocrat and I was just going to do my work as a technocrat. But Inate I decided to be a member of a political party. I don't think anything is wrong in that. But the thing is,
but in actual sense, what I'm talking about is about conflict of interest.
Well,
meaning directly, the state broadcaster is under him.
Exactly, but he is directly also involved in the day-to-day running of the GRTS, like Natalia Director General Tinum. Then another member of the ruling party. Maybe it's for conflict of interest, but here he is a policy man. He's in charge of the policy, but he's not in charge of the direct day-to-day running of the GRTS. So probably, the conflict of interest among CIJ back at the Maje, because Mamira atele ba direct la ko GRTS nyanta nyine bondila nyanta wodole bondila wo mankela dokote as the minister of cabinet minister tenga wala jego ngaje wala nyama dal.
So akamunda akamunda nina nan hanibi membe denne kia kibaro walantuma kibar tala la ko wala banko nyin kan sante kabring man sakunda na anen sante ma yayi tan diko kibar tala jamal biji mi yalan ko man sakunda la mol ka boyika wala men yalan ko wala President Barrow la party mol de ka ko wala kila mi yalan ko fam ikama nyinya bake bar fam akamonde ke bulo chodi men wala president ko kuma kan sifal men fo kibar tala le ka fo imanti ling ibayas tala ani wasifal President Barrow la wo utterance wala kuma kan sifal mi yalan ko aka wala ko ay mun threat la impose on freedom of media.
Tonyale president wala diamo anyanta wati nabe diamo la anyanta la implication o jibela dal ni ko ibe journalist will criticize abako ye symbole de mo dol la mela ila supportal dol pour si faire que war isi boy journalist will kamore so wati dal president o nyaton ko abe ngomem fola dal anyanta la implication o jibela melon ko ninga nyim fo abe problem nati la doye bang o bas president o symbol soto bakele adu ala kango fanan symbol soto bankon ka so ala ay ngomem fedal asi implication o soto so ngamera afanan boko karangolem dal to bele be karanna kabrim Barrow bena president yala among any experience in public service so aboko nyimbe fa fengo fenke dal aboko afana nyanta karanna woto kajibe ko nyen takela waran nyine ma nyen kela dal
bar kabri fa yitande ko etamo molti yale mo technocrat hol tandi bela flaka to fanale e malle fa politician political party ma fo nyimma kuma kan woni aman silanda landi la tanyo in office ta wala place o mi yalon ka wala be at that time
hako ni obe keka definitely I think they're comfortable dal as a technocrat and the minister responsible for information ninga mo president or maybe abe some comment ol kala me alon ko nga fille ko ate abe problem on natila na journalism profession to they're comfortable la woto bari alon ka fo me government collective responsibility so fendosi for warranto fendosi ke as a minister as a cabinet minister ate dialema bari because collective responsibility for for any way tanyola dal option fulale soto either ya agree majority sonta men government to fana yene ini woye tanyola even na try man d'accord la waranto ye resign for blood run biye wala collective responsibility ita fola ko agree tanyin to bari because temang agree la so me fere kala ngalo bantanga fu ko tenin
before ila sakin janni ki fonyo de man seconda kon initially ya fole ko ila fa resign na wala ila fe fonyo la ne la place mo nekata no fe la fe fonyo la
yalong coming for sometimes imu ministality ka fendo moy melon ko mansakunda ye fendo ke melon ko ite as a minister inyantete console lale bari imete console inata o tamandi so ni o keta dal wo nyongale keta dal fendin dole keta melon ko tenga fille ko as minister jandi bobe kala nyantante console la bari man nan console so wala I mean den nga feel ne ko woto yente sideline so yenke ngende karala so ngaji we ko woto mbemmen kala dal paretano definitely resign bari nata kacha dal fengo nata inyanta correction ke dal
okay akamunda ni watin kono yes fero ke la Facebook wall dami yalon ko ya fale ko esa fal kabir ya nyini ka ko amadianolde amu multi mi yalon ko afa akamu pio muslim wala amu muslim bari yakule nakindi wala kala kuma ko mi yalon ko ay wala fo asi koto soro non mune yemuna janon ala kuma ko mi yalon ko ay wala fa kabir afa gitande ka mo pio muslim
yalon esa fal nga respect bakele mo kuma bale mayala professional lom bakele bari yalon ngamira ika fo me gaf I mean fengo yalon ko isi fengo fono ten bari ala minimo nyat isa molsa so abako wala nyamada de a koita male ko amawo min pour ka fo ko because ni ko ite mo pure muslim de ama imanke amadiade ko abako molsa interpret no nyame ko to amadialo manke pure muslim because jama bien to be ngajo fundamentalist dol ke je ka foko amadial manke pure muslim imanke muslim mode so nate atelaw diamo nia atondi farfanya dal ibaje la ko asiwo min no wala bari ngalo ne esa fal abe nyamen dal maybe yalong abe ala interview ya ayake manika kangolete ado ala manika man koy bake ngamira wo be ya contribute jere dal ama o min bari definitely ni ajibe nala ni interpret wo nyama asikeno ko I mean amadial manke pio muslims adu ngamira mamira esa falbe o mutala ala hakilo to dal
bari ya fuji ko teke ko ala Kenya wala même fo num pa programme o nyinta waya yitande kamo molati mi yalo ala ra safa ko wala mo safa moria ko wala kabirin abe o programme o nyinki ka what made you to believe that ala ra what
yala wo fanam me problem di Gambia jam well amanke Gambia te Africa mu me mo jama bije even intellectual fango superstitious tabake ka belief ta nying spiritual ko to bake adu ay ala interview to aya foko anin kabirala abe nyinin kala David Colley nyinin kala abako ala balo somti mamanta je bake so wo ya itandi ko I believe ta wala ko nyim fengo nying Moriko and other things definitely abako I will attend the interview to that
akamunda fal mo jamal wala modul pije vita section pije mi ale ba tumi kan kamo multi mi alan ko ala faka president ya ni banko ni kam fam ala colleague wala nduma ala boss baba gale jalo waya fa yitandile ko ba fam consider kan wala ba consider kan na fa be president ya ni la banko ni kan on December for presidential election natra ko kada constraint wala baradal min bi yalan ko le belaren kan nay wol set tayno wala ay wol ba kuntunte ñim mo fulo la lo president yala dol ka be TRRC abala fintindro ni asa manendino wase tiaro kenoje ila lot la be ko mo fulo la ko to nyaade if they are sick presidency on December 3rd
well the fair as Gambians it will a rights rele pour ka law president yala o any other position in the bari kunyi waton kono benya maintain I mean TRRC be just bankang adu even ala report o man finti fam ngamira definitely man si follow ko itol mo follow be si fanyi tandi ko ila fitalo la president yala because inyanta cooling period le bulala inyanta bulala fo ni TRRC yala report o submit and abanta ko fe isaje ko any TRRC man connection soto kote ke TRRC man tracking then isafu ko ibe lola president yala waranto any other political position but in better amended definitely ngamira amansi dal iton mo fulo be.
So are you also saying in nutshell are you suggesting ko you supported what Modu Sabali stated?
Well I'm not sure whether Modu Sabali well as it possible as it was for no but ngalon nate I funjamale for Esa Fale and Mao support that definitely because Ngamera Esa was a real professional and Anyanta Molbe Nyanta Tentulale Menke Gambia, there's no doubt about that. But political kadum political honestly Tengamera wo tariata ba kelefol.
Ala kumoldo sabali bi alon ko another debate between ati ani madi jobate ani mo kote on social media ako Esa Fal amo molti mi alon ko fam akamunda ay modul community TRRC dol bije mi alon ko menjo ko fatu bon ben suda ama wo ko mandino ata nyin la nyinto foyte fe ben fatu ben suda ama molti mi alon ko anyanta ka finti TRRC nyati in all fairness
along to decide men nyanta fintila ni men men fintila ko womu itol Esa na la timo le nyanta wo decide la kala mo jama bije ye adversely mention ambari man finti ibu jalo fele I mean aning something sar ani dok jama bije ye mention jele I mean adversely mention bari along wol bete kunnola ite imam mo be kumandino so whether patu bomben suda nyanta talanum TRRC or not ngamera wo disono tuta Esa na la timo le ngamera itolle nyanta wo disono kela and ngamera ya kele for whatever reason te honestly man ta fola kuno nyine nyanta apiala ado nyine manyana apiala yen
akamanda kunum afindita on the standard on Monday kabiri publication okay kafo amu fennet mi yalanko I 22nd ila faka to falin ka ke memorial IT bari la latest publication o mi yalanko wala bondita kunum ya itane ko minister dawo ya jalo akoydo wala o programme ila fa men kala ya put on hold follow mo jamal biye kabiri nyi move nyi kala de get skeptical ako nyi ay son mo wisi wasa weda man sakunda be committee pour ka TRRC recommendation bon tamande kabiri APRC ko findita fang ya itande ko la woketa eselsi balambaya keno la wala iba ye mo jamal men yalan ko wala ba ko nyento ibalo na ko da matante bankode mune muy la tekti on this
Tewo honestly ngao support le 22 nyanta kala I mean to rename memorial IT ngao definitely support bari nga finance santa kabiri nga dawda jalo la I mean comment or read I agree ko a major decision leti adum TRRC dama aning National Council for Arts and Culture drong te sila coalition ko because mansakunda nyanta involved lale and at that level I agree ko nyanta consultation okela with mansakunda janibe duma mutala pour ka okay but honestly nga support la nyanta rename la
bari akamunda Esa Jalo communication director me TRRC ako all stakeholders yawol be inform la walantuma yawol fana yawol be bonni akalamala for the statement on I mem o me convince
yeah, as it possible no yemol information or maybe futata je nyame like Tawda Jalo ya foko itol ya read le kaito to drong in the newspapers ko nyine nyanta kela ndenga mera nyanta tambela wala le is a major decision melon ko renaming a landmark thing like the I-22 so even anyanta futala cabinet level for me raya involved because the Ministry of Justice is the line ministry for TRRC. Maybe it all formally involved, the Ministry of Justice, then the Minister, the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, as a Matasamba cabinet, maybe as a formality, literally approve. Then that's it. As a ngamira consultation or dasatale dal, ngawale mira.
So with regards to APRC Nkola Diamo Akwanyu Kono, imagine ko in any way ko akamunda President Barrow want to go into bed with the APRC party or omanke fendi miyalon ko yaje ko mo fened mem fendi da Akwanyu Kono.
Was as if possible no, but I don't think Barrow Nala Mall they would risk that to the extent that kanying renaming of the car linked to a political decision or ambition for running APRC coalition or something. I don't think he would go that far. Ngamera dal because of the consultation of Medo Lak Tatong wala na, but eventually they will agree. Nereng awale mira dal ibe sonnale pour ni renaming because it is in their interest as well. Pour kaje ko the victims of Yaya Jammeh have been kind of compensated somehow with some of these things. Yeah.
How is it like working with President Barrow?
Yeah, it was not bad. Adama Barrow he was a brand new person in the public service. He was kind of, I mean, he had no idea what running a government was like. So he depended on the technocrats, people, you know, who were his advisors and things like that. So it wasn't, you know, he's a nice man, I can assure you, you know. He's a kind fellow, but the thing is, his lack of experience and, you know, was another problem altogether, because sometimes decisional people who are supposed to have been consulted, like cabinet ministers are not consulted. You just hear something has happened. So that was the only area, I mean, working with him was a problem. But apart from that, honestly, he's a nice man. Yeah.
What will you say to the suggestion because President Barrow among multi-million aboka major decision carrying out no afangwe atranunko he don't leng on people wala aman sembe mola pour wala mako fang dol ka criticize ka multi-million molle be je meneka direct ata fango boka decision tano afangwe.
Well, that's a possibility, but I mean, probably.
The honorable you had there.
No. Well, I mean, I cannot be able. I mean, na edition ota, mayati na audition ota, or if he failed to take a decision, mayati na mawar na decision. Maybe, I mean, as a minister or whatever, I would not know exactly may I compel kawoke or to fail to do that thing. But the thing is, I know that a lack of experience was another area where definitely because he depended on a lot of things on people put car fire. He had no idea what running a government was like. So he had to depend on the technocrats and others who you know. So sometimes you can definitely blame him. Some of the decisions Menkela make, you know, waranto additional dole maker melanko, they were not the correct decisions. So maybe, you know, it's a blame knowledge because he's ultimately actually responsible as the head of state. Mm-hmm. But honestly, most of those things were, suggestions that came from other people, January audition or Tala.
So, Nathan Nungo, President Barrow, a lack of experience, ite wala na walantuma iya fale 4 years, walantuma almost 5 years down the line, Kabila President. Experience do ko is he improving?
It's difficult because up to now there are a lot of things that are happening melanko Gambia nyanta tambila janne wo institute. Of course, if you spend 4 years on a particular job, for a current I'm sure he has
no, but it will be own view, own personal view. On how he operates when he is given speech, far improved in the job.
Yeah, well, maybe slightly, but definitely, there is a lot of room for improvement.
If you had rate him out of 100, how much will you give him?
Well, that would be difficult for me because right now I'm looking from outside, not within. If I were within the government, probably I would have been in a better position to know exactly what. But some of these speeches are actually written for him. So the speeches suffer fine. So probably some of the gaffes and other things, amankela faulty. But in Aloneko, there is a lot of room for improvement from his side, definitely. Even like presentation for some of the speeches, present it shows you that he still has a lot to learn.
So if he's seeking for second term, naman lamot mi yalang ka bala firim puro ka bangko mara kota ke sanji lulu wala sanji tang kota ke need to be President Barrow yamar. If he should he seek for a second term in office, fully knowing kamo multi mi yalang going by kamen poko he still lacks experience.
Well, honestly, while I was in government, I made it quite clear that I supported him to stop at the 3 years. I agreement okay and other coalition partners at the end of the 3 years, he should do exactly what he has agreed. But I decided to go beyond the 3 years, to go for the 5 years, and not only stop at 5 years, but even second term seek. Well, I would have advised him, if I were to advise him, that he shouldn't have gone for a seek for a second term. But it's his duty. Well, what I'm saying, it is his right to go for the 5 years because Constitution allow it. And again, there is nothing barring him also to seek for a second term. But if I were to advise him, definitely I would have advised him to stop at his 3 years. Even if he goes beyond the 3 years, now 5 years complete, I say stop. That he shouldn't have gone beyond that.
If you have personally told him, could you stop at 3 years? A reaction of Kenya?
Sorry, I've actually never discussed that with him. I've never discussed the issue with him. I just made my views quite clear to anybody who was willing to listen that, as far as I'm concerned, it's an agreement he has with his coalition partners, and he should respect that agreement. Because exactly. I made it quite clear to anybody who was willing to listen to me. But in Namana, President Barrow Namana was discussed, and as far as I'm concerned, the matter was never discussed in cabinet. Tell President, no. Because at one time, the Vice President, Dr. Aissatou Touré, was it Aissatou Touré?
Yeah,
one of them. Anyway, the matter was discussed in cabinet. But anyway, I was not present in that cabinet meeting. It was definitely never discussed in my presence. That I know.
So, akamunda mansakunda government mi yalon ko yew wala sa iko kibar janjannal wala men yalon ko wala mansakunda la diamonal isiata bake anu hanebi kibar ko man bonde gamen wala gamen kala fika kibaro men soro mi yal hanebi aboka soro fo ya mira a jartala num mansakunda nyin kibar janjannal be soro wala mor soro men yalon ko wala be kibar diol be kala Italy
yalong and my experience as Minister of Information, definitely, Kake government spokesperson was a very, very, very difficult thing because, either you are responsible for policy and you are responsible for a lot of other things. At the same time, then Isafoko is responsible for communicating for the government. So, Kabiriye, government spokesperson, appoint, definitely, I think I welcome it. I thought it was a very good move because, in other jurisdictions, even in our neighboring country, Senegal here, it's either the government spokesperson and the Minister of Communication are different. So, because the spokesperson appoint probably concentrate more on getting the information, right information, and passing it to the people than allowing it to the minister, because minister has a lot of other responsibilities. So honestly, but maybe the confusion you have a spokesperson for the president, that is Bojang, and then you have the government spokesperson. So confusion sometimes I can write almost. Sometimes because there is no clear line, sometimes contradiction. A good example was this Africa Liberation Day. Press release bondi kaitandiko niente atekela public holiday. Then the following day Sankare nata press release bondi kafu ko nyimu public holiday. So easy wo confusion pour kao avoid maybe consultation on nyanta kela it all different spokesperson on tema de.
Akamunda voter registration or me along ko wala be kirin sending. The issue of attestation abeke kan bone of contention between many along ko fam wala ibadika wala la nyosa bo be siare nyinyal da ka so la nyinu man qualify. Attestation o nyina ko wala ntu na rebe voter registration e be bula kam anoma ko wol pita ka nyaadi le la mira lo fi.
Attestation o ngamera ay confusion bale nati nyim voter registration to te ngame mirada Gambia nyanta tambila no nyen to bari ni ajibe fanang dol jama bije maybe ye ID card also to warrant to ila document dol bari expired ale. For example because ni binaje idila original document dol nyanta nala bari ni ata expire yalo ite was sambala nola so ibita attestation no nyinila problemo asitara no ID card issue in Fanang, because I concentrate too much within the greater Banjul area. In Yanta decentralized in such a way that at least all the regions can be able to issue, identity cards. Mojama sila identity cards, so to know, but it will problem with that. But attestation definitely, Dengamera Manana Kela ni wating Konodal, Manyan Tambila Wodo, Gambian or Benyata Fele Kela Yella document also. So what you need at least site and the Koitem Bankudi holiday.
So is it IEC's failure? Or IEC la Boyola? What about or is this Ministry of Justice Benica below and the deputy or Nyatli wala failure? You want it blame la in Natra no more blame la pro attestation.
No, I don't think. IEC la failure because do I somebody IEC la purisa fuko attestation or sikera.
Because this 2015 election act be wala use kam pro kanyen carry for you oversee. Kamunda nyin mo fened mi al modul mal la finu ngala fang e lafta pulo falendro leko o fanna nyina. Yamere num ko falendro mi yalon ko wala nyanta kala mi yalon ko amanke. It is whose fault? Is it IEC?
Of course, nenga IEC la blame wo fault. Definitely IEC covering 2017. 2017 be searing they have done virtually nothing for kawo reform ke electoral reform be searing no for to the very last minute they sina wuli ko be election bill nati la jana and in other things tenga mira ko since 2017 yanta fere kala yin fengol be da election reform ke yatra janning registration we kala yatra election bill pareta of course constitution it all they have no role in the passing of the constitution woman ke to la fault but the election bill definitely woman to la fault I don't definitely ngamira ko like the constituencies as well you have some constituencies are 10 times bigger than some I don't want manyan warning democracy mantanyo la IEC nyanta fere kala isaje wo be botano janning registration we kala but unfortunately it all be siri moma je it all be menna so ngable mo be kala IEC kumoto nyinko to dal
so ite amira nathan ko constituency dol be je mi yalon ko wala nyanta ka tala wala nduma ya wala waro nyim mo fenna bi yalla imang wara baake wala what is expected oban traje juma ñol la nyanta tala
Asiata Bage, because a constituency like Janyambure, for instance, which is less than 2,000 registered voters, and you look at a constituency like Serekunda West, for example, almost 40,000 voters, So there is a lot of disparity. Like a constituency like Fonyi, for example, there are 5 constituencies in Fonyi. Near Serekunda West, Jibe, Serekunda West, like Warata Wall, 5 constituencies here. Adnyola near Banjul give 3 constituencies. Maybe a constituency like Bundung can go. Banjul is near Banjul Bay Adnyola Bundung ne war 30. So you see, what disparity amanya nakela dal. Definitely, democracy mawo allowed dal. Democracy for equal representation. That is, Momo Nata National Assembly. At least all the members of the National Assembly should kind of have equal kind of exactly kana nyo dam baake dal bari nyimbe nyamenja wo honestly wo man I see nyanta wo address la da meta
the issue of diaspora voting many yalan ko wolle be banko e bantala e mum mollet mi yalan yanda ka carte o fayla but unfortunately ya fole ko mum mollet mi yalan ko e manda carte o fayla IEC yalan ne men kam wole mum mollet mi yalan ko fam luwadol be men mam fale bari ko minister of finance ko boy mi keta wala imam mollet mi yalan ko na fulo man imalandi pour ye dabula carte for men mi yalan ko wolle diaspora ila notable absent in December for presidential election I will represent.
Yeah, definitely. Again, I see the blame water. I see nyanta make sure like if countries like Guinea-Bissau and the Guinea-Conakry, Gambia have a very much stronger economy than those countries. Ni all kake adu ila election out ila more bed all over the world ika voting ke. Why manana Gambia ta keno? Definitely I see the blame. So the kafoko diaspora kodoti because I see le nyanta budget of percent la to the government ka fuko nying amount le need to do this and that so ni tol ma okay masakunda balon na nyari le ko tol man nyanta menkela so ntenga I see le blame water and it's important that the diaspora the Gambian diaspora which is a very important constituency of this country nyanta nyanta franchise deal la nyanta rights of the political finance decide who is going to rule this country.
The IEC chairman, Ekamu Multimialango Kebalemadi, Wala Keba and Tabagi, to sit over such a controversial election, Wala Reformialango Achuchosi Wara with this huge number of political parties in the political arena, Dulmu Multimialango, Imam comfortable bag, price Carrefo Yunkuno, to be specific APRC, our Multimialango Yakomandino Alia Fang Ikai resign a la Palasor, Yameranunko, the IEC chairman with his age, as in Carrefo Yumenkanasi as overseen.
Well, the IEC chairman, he did a very, very good job during the 2016 elections. But in Intelematino, and if I were to advise him, I would have advised him. Immediately after the 2016 elections, everybody was happy with his activities as Asabul and Intelemati, and Yantabula Lalawato. But he can continue, anything else can happen, any kind of blame else can is Taranoje. So Intelemati, I think I'm a mistake quality can continue. Whatever the reason. Okay, at age, okay, maybe he's still maybe even though he's in his 80s, but he's still strong and he's got, I think, his mental capacity is okay. But in Telematidol, he did a good job and he should have left at that stage.
So, but you didn't see any problem him overseeing the election if Manara ko amu multimialan ko mantra kaja ka resign kan na wala fa karre fo ñu oversee.
No, I don't think so. Ngamira dal elemental capacity is okay, and he's a straightforward man. I see no reason munana abe any kind of new judge natila election or mau expect dal. I think he can be able to conduct it. But the thing is, I think a mistake of why should he even continue up to this time?
Are you disappointed that the most talk about reform me alonko wala nyanta kelano kabrim 2017 mansakuna na sembodo hanibi is at standstill wala amu fendi mi alonko notable it's not visible mobuka jin. Are you disappointed?
Oh yes, I'm very very disappointed because the thing is Mansakundala kabiri bina the Barrow administration kabiri bina into office. They promised the molla koibe very extensive reforms like civil service reform, security sector reform, electoral reform, and a lot of other reforms. But unfortunately, it appears that the government, President Barrow and other government are so, preoccupied with clinging onto power, getting a second term than carrying out the reforms that were, I'm very, very disappointed. I have no doubt that most other Gambians are disappointed that the reforms that they all anticipated have not happened.
If this period found you in government, na ayatara wenu Mansakunda on yin tembe na je fully no ko Mansakunda akamonta promise me alon ko yewol ke yewol jenkendi karala ko mi teba fo ka nyame ibe busy dim pour ka politique ko lon di banko wala second term so na. Will you resign from your position?
Yeah, that's a very hypothetical question, because nibe Mansakunda, you try all within your means because you are within the government and you try as much as possible to influence the situation. So it's possible. No, if I were still there, probably certain aspects I would have been in a position to influence what was going on. But the thing is, it's a hypothetical question. If needed, if it was necessary, and I found that I tried all I could, I just can't get my voice across and ideas across. Of course, I would not hesitate to resign. But a hypothetical, anything is possible in that case. Yeah.
So what? It is a million problem. Why is the president not committed to the reform? Well,
there are two things. One, lack of experience and lack of proper maybe advice.
Should we attribute the lack of experience
not necessarily a man doko no. Of course, lack of experience. Well, imang comfortable, imang doko no long back exactly. Iman londo soto. I don't find maybe he's not getting the right advice from because we're important back. You have to have rather than just appointing politicians as your advisors and very experienced people who have a lot of experience on various areas will see advice on those areas. Unfortunately, it appears President Barrow mantra tamanka wo nyamadal. I allow most of his advisors more be along people who have no clout whatsoever. Just politicians, and they are advising on issues. They are not even very familiar with. So Nadal, I think mistake or keta jele dal. But the other aspect probably is that for Drum, he's so bent on clinging onto power, getting a second term that kind of doing reforms I will at the background. Even important the reforms this security sector or other reforms when promise no Gambian or Ladal.
So, if President Barrow is given a second term, not running a Ganyeta Yinka reform, Yalanko, Walakana, I'll come a reform, Falindrul Mialanko, Walakana. Do you think he will do it? Fabakil?
Well, Laido di Molako, he's committed to reforms. But the thing is, it is so slow that, whether we can only assume that near a second term, then, he would not be expecting another term. Let's hope. Then in that case, I see concentrate on a reform. But at the moment, it appears a concentrate onto clinging onto power than reforms. But we can only hope and pray that nice second term win. Then he can be able to concentrate on the reforms and do them before the end of his next 5 years.
December 4th presidential election. A political party Jamal Society ko 18 wala bija and perhaps Mr. for 22 or 22 political parties for this no banko nyinkane. Do you think it is necessary? Well, is necessary for an information of all these political parties within this short period of time?
Yeah, well, of course, the it's so crowded, with so many political parties. But the thing is, it's all part of democracy. Like, asi betanum bake faneyata new constitutional pass melanko, you have the opportunity for a second round of voting, 50 plus 1. All the political parties still have a candidate role at the first round, and the second round, then they can form coalitions so that the first two candidates, if they can force the incumbent to a second round, then it's either easy coalition or form so that they can try to defeat the incumbent. But with this first past the post, it's a different ball game altogether, because even President Barrow can be able to get only 20% of the votes and still win the election, because all he needs is that one vote ahead of his next rival, then he can win the election. So I think the 1997 constitution is not a very democratic constitution. So in that case, I'm not sure about the usefulness of all the political parties.
So with the simple majority, me along ko refer be conduct la wala abekela wala. Are you suggesting that President Barrow multi me along ko fang akamunta is in his favor? Wala ka refer can be in his favor. He can sail through easily.
Exactly. It is in his favor, because we have too many opposition parties, and what they do is they will split the votes among themselves, and then Barrow, we can just easily sail through. Because his incumbency advantage, the fact that he has got access to government funding, and they're going all up over the place, inaugurating roads and projects and other things of that, using government funding. The people, the type of people we have in this country is that it all barole and all, we're not realizing that he is using, government funds. And while the opposition, all they do is rely on their own, personal funding. So he has more advantage, definitely. And with this kind of proliferation of political parties, I see no reason why he cannot easily sail through.
So with the likes of UDP, me along the biggest political party in the Gambia, Electoral in the political arena, Usainu Dabo versus President Adam Barrow, does this in any way impose threat on President Barrow's presidency? If I threat imposed here?
It is not easy to, UDP can say has been the biggest party in this country, but realize one thing also. NPP is a kind of a splinter group from the UDP. So, under Gambian politics, a lot of people have been moving from one party to the other. So it is not easy to see, to gauge the strength of the different parties right now. Although, UDP is still a big force to be reckoned with, and it's going to be very, very interesting. It's very likely that, the two biggest parties in this election would be the NPP and the UDP, and all other parties maybe will come after them. But it's going to be very interesting, definitely.
GDC, ita lakata multimi alon ko kunu ya itan ko ila deputy wali Biden no commando fam fa sai waya sabo ila sitting arrangement in the parliament ya falime ko dia independent national assembly member. Timing if bayro ke wato men na wata ka refa sam mbulata wala ko ni yenyu mol bay wal ya meda nyinta silanda wala problem wala ni nole la patikan ela biuto.
Well, I think the Bayro that was just a formality, but these people are already gone. They had already gone to NPP. We all knew that, we have been hearing with Diamola and it all came Diamo in the sense that they are already NPP. So this was just a formality. I was formalized. So I don't think it has any effect, on the GDC, apart from the fact that, of course, the very fact that one of the MPs is from Jokadu, and we have seen what happened to the by-election that was held in Jokadu. The NPP beat the GDC in that place. So, so that was an encouragement to the MP in the area that his abandoning the GDC was definitely not a mistake. And so, it's very likely to happen, to repeat itself during the elections as well. Yeah.
So with Keba Jalo for Jara Central is a stronghold for Mama Kande. Even the 2016 presidential election he won. Wala I Ganyel. Puro fane ka modi mi alam ko way back and wala yo bay ila party nyun kono for what ala support base thing ata scattered no la ka janyen no ma fam.
It's possible, but even Jokadu, Mama Kande win during the presidential elections, as well as in Yamina West where we had the by-election. That Atleje win during the presidential election. Yeah, I mean, so, but the very fact that in Nyamena West as well as in Jokadu, NPP beat, I mean, the GDC there during the by-elections, it can happen in Jara Central as well. Is it West or Jara?
Jara Central.
Or Jara Central, it can happen there. But as we say also, I mean, some of the support for GDC may be very loyal and they may cause problems for the sitting MP. It's going to be very, very interesting for the National Assembly elections as well, because not all of these people who are bragging here would be able to make it back to Parliament.
So this Parliament, National Assembly, mi alon ko wolle bije kabring inatana 2017 mo jamal bije ka mem fo wolem ako funding kol youth soul wolle siata je anum fang aka munta way may gitane youth soul representation is very important in any developing country. Ñun National Assembly ila do ko compared to it state men noto ñun National Assembly ni be rate la ila performance la iba rate la ñan.
Well, I think compared to the previous National Assembly, definitely this National Assembly is more independent the way they look at things, because ikaje ko their example melanko fendol bodana mansakunda itata je they threw it out, and that nobody would have expected that during Yahya Jammeh's time, So it's definitely a different National Assembly altogether. It's a very robust one, and there, of course, I mean, with again experience and the very fact that some of these people have not been. Of course, there are problems in the way they are doing their work, but I think it's a more robust National Assembly than the one we had in the past.
So in the near future, ite fe mena nyanda ka falling ila operation order dol bije wala ka fole tamandir nyal fe ka partisan politics e ka wala jije ila to ko mi yalon ke ka wala ke National Assembly.
Yeah, because most of them are voting on party lines. And need to get a National Assembly member. You are supposed to be representing the whole country. So in the country la interest la jiwela. But unfortunately, most of them are party lines. Sometimes nika jani voting kake ika party caucus kele then it's na jiwe isi passes. I think wobe nyanta kela part of the reforms as well. And I don't suggest maybe National Assembly should also have a term limit. Maybe members should not serve more than 2 terms. Yeah, I think all that should all be part of the reforms. So at least to make them sit on their not to sit on their laurels and think that because they should know that they have 2 terms. They cannot go beyond 2 terms. So at least they would be able to in the first term. Then they would work so hard to make sure that they get a second term. Yeah.
Akamunda, apart from Ying me along Walla Bekeren, to ask you some few questions about issues me along Walla Bekeren. The Gambia is faced with challenges me along Walla Joko, Nibala Carolina, Ni Mutul, Ni Wasifala, me along Peko, Chani Sola na, and Wasifala, I'm all but at the back. If you have a problem with it, when I fall into Banco in a town and doing your mayor, Sabakamunda Gambian being challenges if I should.
Yeah, that's quite true, definitely. Naba, the fisheries sector particularly, I think a lot of reforms for Nyantekela. Right now, the Chinese fishing trawlers seem to dominate the area, and I told Aboko Masakunda Fanang ye fan to Chinese or blue so much so that they seem to be doing exactly whatever they want to do. All their because we told me Kalamutako, sometimes ika fishing trawlers muta illegally fishing in our waters, but in here nati jam fanang, instead of taking them to court aka fine, you can just negotiation out of court negotiation settlements get wrong. I think that should not happen. Honestly, I think the law should be very strict on the way they handle these people. No matter whether they come from the Chinese or from the European Union or any other people who may illegally fish in our waters. I think they are allowing these people to deplete our fishing stocks.
Apart from overfana na health sector yemo dinkral mi yalonko akamonda be keka 9 mayalti wala modul bulo akamonda ku jamal bije mi yalonko italbe wala fo ko bo musol mi yalonko wala ka wulu ka fati ngolto ani wasifal mi yalonko fo ya ibaje mun ite fe mun problem mode mun lakta mun jate kende ala karolo mi yalonko we should improve on.
Yeah, I think the funding aspect of the health sector leaves a lot to be desired. Improve because enough funding like in the budgetary funding for the health sector is important, and a lot of reforms also needs to be put in this health sector. Because right now, honestly, if you look at the status of our hospitals and health centers, it's so deplorable. I think Mansakunda Nyanta will address that there. It's very, very important address, because otherwise, if the health of the people need priority wall, then I cannot see how this country can move forward.
December 4th, presidential election. What's your prediction?
Well, it's going to be a very, very interesting election. I have no doubt. Honestly, although I'm a bit worried about the possibility of electoral violence. That I think we need to address that, because if you listen to the Molkanyo, Kajafinyame,
the fanfare.
I think that should be definitely addressed. The government and the different political parties should very much cognizant of that fact and address the situation. But my prediction is that the way things are going, Barrow can easily sail through, as the winner of the next election.
So you're giving an upper hand to President Barrow?
Incumbency is a very, very important factor in Africa, because you are using the public resources, and then for the people it is Barrow's resources. That's how they see it. So that's the thing. See.
So, do you think many alonko wale ka Jalayaroke yaitani President Barrow giving him second term in office mean Gambia will be heading back to dictators? Are you seeing that in him? Dictatorship?
No, I don't think Gambians will ever allow another monster in this country. We have had the experience with Yahya Jammeh, and there is no way that Gambians will give Barrow that opportunity to become a dictator in this country. As I say, is never again, and is definitely never again. He cannot. The Gambians will never allow that to happen. So that I am quite certain about.
Naturally, I see the statistics. Many alonko be wale bondika on the voter registration. Akamonda ibe mulmi alonko be wale register say over 500,000, 500,000 you were registered already. Is there any possibility of them closing for the voter registration yasoro after nunko model va register?
It's not likely to happen. But this period has been gazetted. So Niko extension of Kela, then they have to gazette it again, then because they have to have the legal backing. At the moment, legally they cannot go beyond 11th of July. Because but if they see the necessity of extending the registration, they can still go back to and legalize it, give an extension. I don't think Mamiradal. They will deliberately, stop the registration. There are still people on the line. No, Mao Miradal.
Me along ko wale faramansan da nyim voter registration nyim wala nyin mo foreigner la wala manya ka carte of nyin dom manke banko di ngon o mo fener mi along ko ay problème on na fi na fam modol pije mi along ko fam iba fo kan ko man sakunda ay man commit wala man sulo yitande pour ka je ko min manke banko di ngodi kané dabula carte fo nyin kon nyin so pour ka sanity ka sene andiro na fi na voter registration nyin nakaro. Do you see the government alla commitment fa futata wo fanna nyin?
Of course, people are Mojamaka government accused they are bent on registering non-Gambians to help them to win the next election. Of course, these are all political gimmicks, and it's a possibility. But the thing is, it is extremely difficult in this country to actually sanitize the voter roll to the extent that you will stop non-Gambians voting in our, or registering in our, because the thing is the situation is such that people who have been here even though they technically legally they are not Gambians, but people have been born and bred in this country, they have children here, they have done everything here. I think the law needs to be changed somehow, because if somebody is born here, you have a birth certificate, definitely. If you are born in this country, you have a birth certificate. Even though legally you cannot be a Gambian unless both of your parents are Gambians or you have naturalized as a Gambian. So you see, and there is a confusion somewhere. I think that needs to be sanitized as well. But it's a problem. And sometimes some of the parties, political parties, I don't think that's the best way to go about. Kata registration center to kata kiwo to starting asking people for their documents and trying to seize their documents. That's the wrong way of going about it. I think it told me let them take the details, because because there is going to be a revising court after the registration. Near revising court nata. If you have enough evidence go marry Manke Gambian, then that's the place you should go. But you cannot seize people's document on the queue. That's wrong.
The continuous progression of economic in the country. Do you see the need economic?
No, I don't see the need for economic to be in this country any longer. I think our security forces are organized enough to be able to take charge of security in this country. I mean, honestly, I don't see the need for continuous presence of economic in this country.
Yeah, même for in December, economic iba falling na kabonde abeni nyame kake police force mission yinte ami alon ko natara nko ibetulaja. Wala na Gambia, what does it mean to us?
I mean, I don't see the need for that. Yalong, the thing is, we have got our police force, I mean, and they are capable of doing police work in this country. We don't need any, foreign forces to come and help us do policing here. I mean, I think maybe it's in the interest of the government to have the foreign forces here, but honestly, it's in the interest of Gambians in general.
Natara nungo ya latest ECOWAS summit ni yajibe ila ECOWAS las walantuma UN na special envoy ni alonko wale benyin sub regional dija. The issue of the TRRC ay sulo yitandi wa fanna nyina la ko karre fa sango abenta wala fe ani wasifal from President Barrow journalist do dianya ni kaka fa bayri nyi nyi kumo fole ila man sakunda lo no nyane TRRC la ko ako dice political will wala ko mu fene mi alonko mo pro wakilo be political la karola pour ka tama TRRC la ko dete la karola pour ni momi alonko mo alfalte dunia la kafo men represent kan ning sub regional to win statement sifa author about the Gambia. Are you still hopeful comment sekunda be TRRC la implements la recommendation by implemented despite the president's statement?
Yes, I am hopeful in the sense so along there was a problem with the implementation of the Jane Commission. Ado ngamera masakunda fana ye karan back karanta jele dal ko they cannot just go against the will of the people. So the TRRC, everybody is focusing on the TRRC. So ngamera they will be very, very, very careful. I mean, the TRRC report nata to be able, they cannot, maneuver. They don't have enough room to maneuver. So I have hopes they are going to implement it. To the letter. Miradal.
Finally, a date with destiny. How is the sales going? Mulba karunga mo ko ya lonji lumo men kaviri ya lonji parida abanta wodula am famala re ko pil mi ya lon ko wala samba I don't know mune ba ko no mi ya sabo mol they got so much interested with me ya lon ko wala ba ko no fo ya je ko ya couple finish at that point mune men nji
I'm telling a couple minutes samba je even siano at the launching. Yeah, those are just sample copies kait and the mall well, as you know, Gambians, not many people actually buy books in this country. So, Hanisa have Timbuktu, because the thing is, people in this country come and get Nintenga Bukosang, so the reading culture mantra Gambia. So, you don't make money from writing books, absolutely. I can assure you. Yeah. Well, tembe for la dronka yalom be election yaleto. It's extremely important tol be nga Gambia le soto Gambia le mun tol yati so fanta fere kala dal ka peace dal Cairo sabatindi bankunka nyanta political party siata mo yala party supports the bari nyanta nyo respect la le nyanta na political leaders respect la because sometimes ka moy molbe some leaders political leaders nenna on social media. I think that is very, very, very bad. Nyanta lo respect la le nyanta itandi la nyola ko tol bele denta nyim banku ka adum bankola Cairo mun tol bela Cairo leti ninga fitno nati banko to wogu problem abe tol bele we do now fitino to so definitely ngal wolem dal
baraka bake honorable Demba Ali Jawo mi yalan ko mo jamal ka ko man oncle dia baraka bake ma beta wala adabula na programme to nyame on the current reality show puduka kaja ko wala mi yalan ko wala be kiri atal men be jibero la ka fale ala baraka bake ala jif thanks tv jibe nyame kal wakilinde ka fale kali na programme ol jibe al kali seya andum fana al kali like o nyama ala baraka bake fo arami sanala da mi yalan ko ni mo ko tan fana binaga kaja ko wala mi yalan ko wala be kiri alnal badi malik ibrahima jara ala baraka bake